I think one of the biggest challenges that we are facing in the world, and that we're coming to realize, I think, as a collective, because this isn't just hitting me, but we are realizing that somewhere along the lines, we lost our ability to cope with challenge, with difficulty, with discomfort. And as a Gen X adult, knowing the childhood that I had and the kinds of things that I did, and I'm not talking about the trauma. I'm talking about the things I did as a kid, having fun, playing, unsupervised and feral because my parents were working, right? Like, I survived some shit, having the best time of my life, having a blast. Flipped my bike down a whole freaking hill trying to ride, and thought I broke my arm, and was fine. Then somewhere along the lines, and I'm not trying to say that our healing from trauma was the problem, because individually we needed to do that. But we turned it into a culture. And we turned it into a culture of bubble wrap and comfort and safety and protect the kids, keep everybody safe. Let's pretend things don't exist. Let's coddle and conceal, I think, is because we still had, a lot of us were raised with the don't talk, don't trust, don't feel. And so there was a lot of that still going on. But then at the same time, we're trying to overprotect. And in our efforts in trauma culture is part of it. I'm not saying it's the only part of it, but somewhere in our best efforts to heal from trauma, we created a culture that has crippled our ability to deal with discomfort. And nature doesn't give a fuck about our comfort. It doesn't care. It's going to throw its storms and it's going to have its earthquakes, and people are still going to be people, and things are still going to be hard, and life is still going to happen. But we treat everything like it's cataclysmic and run and hide and avoid and try to cover and bury ourselves and numb ourselves and find our comfort. And we've lost a lot of skills. And that is a huge part of what I think we're all awakening up to right now is we're recognizing the swing in the pendulum, that both extremes are bad. We know this. We're not idiots. None of us are dumb. We just bury our heads in the sand and pretend if I don't see it, then it's not really happening. If I run from it, if I avoid it, maybe it'll go away. All to maintain my comfort, because I can't handle anything challenging anymore. I'll call it a trigger. I'll make everybody else try and fix it. But within myself, I have absolutely no coping skills, right? And I think we're kind of coming out of that. I think we're realizing that there is a great deal of benefit to being pushed out of our comfort zone, to being pushed into challenge. There's so much wonder and amazement and curiosity. And like the last few days, the last week, I dealt with some really, really difficult things. And coming out the other side of it, I get to experience the healthy pride of being in my body, being able to go through it without combusting or totally dismantling my life. More of us are waking up to the emotional regulation. We're learning about our fascia, we're learning about our bodies, learning how to treat it like the data collection instrument that it is. These little critters, these conscious little critters, this whole alive little universe that my spirit is guiding through this existence, they're doing their own thing and they are doing just fine. They know exactly what the hell they're doing. But we're getting better at learning how to talk to them, learning how to listen to them, learning how to separate their voices in our head from our own. Recognizing, that's the difference between 3D and 5D thinking, right? The 3D survival thinking are all the thoughts that are rising from our sensory equipment, our sacred technology that are just supposed to serve as data points so that we can grow. Because back at the beginning of time, there was a thought that became word. And in that moment, the moment it felt, not before word was fully formed, but that there's that hair of a breath of pause between the thought exiting the mouth, where the feeling of it arising would have come into awareness. And the wonder and curiosity at what was happening as you felt it happening is what we're here living and creating every time. That is what we're here to experience, is the wonder and amazement of our ability to overcome, to handle chaos and create with it and become more than we thought we would be. And that's why our world's imploding, is because we haven't been there for a while. And I do really have to say, just as a closing thought at the end of this, that I think it is incredibly humorous and just apropos timing that all of this stuff is going on in the world right as a whole bunch of freaking really, really happy children are grown and out of the house, and now we have nothing left to do with our time but be pissed off Gen X women going through perimenopause and menopause as the world is going through this crap. I can't wait to see what happens with that. You watch those girly pops go and do their thing now. You watch us go, because we got shit to say, and those hot flashes aren't going to keep us comfy, and we're going to say it anyway, because we don't give a fuck. Because we've learned how to be comfortable with discomfort, and we know that bullshit is bullshit, and we're going to F around and find out, right? That's where we're at. We really do need to buck up. We can handle discomfort. We don't need to tolerate the intolerable. But we can handle discomfort and not lose our heads and not bury our heads in the sand and not cry about it and not blame other people. Other people are learning the same lessons you are, and they're messing it up along the way just as much as you are. Let them go. Leave them alone. If they aren't yours, leave them alone. Be a lifeboat, be a ladder, be a lamp. Only be a lifeboat if they cannot for themselves at all, like there's a disability involved, right? But there's no one to blame. You just didn't know how to handle discomfort and created a box to keep yourself safe. Now it's time to climb out of it. I see you, boo. Get your butt up. Love you.